The wind howled through Europe's valleys like a living thing. Frost crept across stone like white veins, and inside monasteries built like fortresses, men lay down on slabs of rock to sleep. No roaring hearth, no chimney, no glowing coals. Yet somehow medieval monks survived winter so brutal that breath froze in the air and water turned solid inside cups. Some monasteries sat in regions where temperatures could plunge far below anything comfortable. And still these men slept, night after night, not just enduring the cold, outsmarting it. Cold stone, but clever design. Stone looks powerful, but it is merciless to the human body. It steals heat fast. Lie on it, and your warmth bleeds away like water into sand. Medieval monks knew this. That's why the cell itself was only half the story. Monastic buildings were designed thick, extremely thick. Some walls were over a metre wide. That mass mattered. During the day, even weak winter sun and the body heat of dozens of monks slowly warmed the interior. At night, those walls released that stored warmth back into the rooms. Not hot, but not deadly either. It turned the monastery into a giant thermal battery. Cells were also tiny on purpose. A small space traps body heat. One man breathing, praying, and moving inside a narrow stone room could raise the temperature more than you'd expect. The monks weren't trying to be comfortable. They were trying to survive. And in survival, size is everything. The raised bed revolution. No monk worth his salt slept directly on stone. That would have been a fast track to illness or worse. Beds were lifted off the floor. Even the poorest monasteries used wooden frames, straw pallets, or woven rope beds. Cold air hugs the ground. Lifting the body just a little created a warmer pocket of air. On top of those frames went straw, hay, or dried leaves packed into sacks. These weren't just soft. They were insulation. Air trapped between the stalks slowed heat loss. Over time, monks learned which fillings worked best, changing them as seasons shifted. Some communities even layered animal skins beneath the straw. Sheep, goat, or deer hides, with the hair still on, formed a natural thermal barrier. Not luxury. Technology. Clothing as a heating system. Monks didn't change into thin nightwear, they slept armoured in fabric. The core garment was the wool habit. Wool was medieval miracle material. It traps air. It keeps heat even when damp. It breathes without freezing you. A monk's habit often stayed on day and night during winter, sometimes with extra tunics underneath. Socks were thick. Hoods were pulled tight. Some monks slept wrapped like bundles, with only their nose and mouth exposed. In colder regions, records show monks wore multiple layers of wool and linen together, building a portable insulation system around their bodies. And here's the hidden genius. Wool fibres contain natural oils. Those oils repel moisture. Dry fabric is warm fabric. The monks didn't know the chemistry, but they mastered the result. The power of shared heat. Solitary cells were common, you know, but in the worst winters, strict rules often bent. Many monasteries had dormitories where monks slept in the same hall, separated by partitions or just simple spacing. 30 bodies in one room really do change everything. Heat rises, breath warms air. The room slowly becomes a living furnace. Even when monks slept alone, their cells were often clustered tightly along internal corridors. Warmth leaked from one space into the next. A monastery was not a set of separate boxes. It was a single organism, and beneath it all ran another trick: underground warmth. Some monasteries built their sleeping quarters partially below ground level. Not deep, just enough. Soil stays far warmer than winter air. While outside temperatures plunged, the earth hovered at a steady cool. Cold, yes, but survivable. By anchoring walls into the ground, monks borrowed that stable temperature. In some places, flues from distant kitchens or communal ovens ran beneath floors or behind walls. Not enough to call it heating, but enough to take the killing edge off the cold. No chimney in the cell didn't mean no warmth in the structure. Heat isn't just around you, it's inside you. Monks ate heavy winter foods for a reason. Thick breads, beans, peas, cheese, sometimes fish, sometimes meat, depending on the order. These slow-burning foods fed the internal fire. A full stomach generates heat for hours. Many monasteries allowed a light evening meal in winter, even when stricter fasting ruled the rest of the year. It wasn't indulgence, it was survival science. A monk who went to bed hungry in January was a monk who might not wake up in March. Movement before rest. Before night prayers, monks often worked, chopping, walking, carrying, scrubbing. That labour drove blood into the limbs. It warmed muscles. It primed the body. Going to bed warm matters. Your body traps heat better than it creates it in sleep. Monks knew this in practice. Their daily rhythm built warmth before darkness fell. Some rules even discouraged immediately lying down after prayer. A little pacing, a little preparation, then rest. Small habits, big consequences. Spiritual discipline, but physical intelligence. People love to imagine medieval monks as fragile shadows shivering in misery. The truth is tougher. These were men trained to read their bodies. They observed, they adapted, they experimented. They layered beds, they altered clothing, they reshaped buildings, they adjusted diets. Over centuries, monasteries became laboratories of cold survival. They didn't conquer winter with fire. They partnered with physics. And maybe that's the real secret. Medieval monks didn't waste heat. They respected it, trapped it, fed it, shared it, guarded it like treasure. So when you imagine a monk lying down in a stone cell with no chimney, don't picture a man freezing in darkness. Picture a man wrapped in wool, lifted from the floor, fed with heavy bread, surrounded by thick walls, breathing out the day's warmth. Part of a living structure designed to hold life through the dead of winter. That isn't weakness. That's ancient intelligence. If you enjoyed uncovering this forgotten survival knowledge, make sure you subscribe to Ancient Roots Uncovered. Share this with someone who loves hidden history. And stay with us, because the past still has a lot to teach the present.